Okay, so we're up to item 7.1, which is our action schedule for the Mercury Bay Community Boards. That's on page 85. Can I have a mover and a second to receive? Kelly and Bill, you can.
Argue about.
Yes. Do you have any comments? Is there any update or progress on the investigation of permanent or blanket traffic management plans for events?
No, it's like a legal sort of issue that Pinnacle's looking into.
Okay.
I think the issue that I understand is that the concept of either having a council staff member or a member of the public that has the certification to go and do the work rather than having to go out and pay for the consultation and the consultants and external agencies. So we could go and find 100 road cones tomorrow morning, and we can go and find someone to go and put them out and someone to direct the traffic without being a paid person. So this is my suggestion to council, and it's come to here, is there a way that we can do this with the community and or with the help of maybe a staff member who has done the appropriate course to be able to put road cones out? Because it worked like that for donkey's years in this town, where the Lions put the cones out and stood there with their white gloves saying you can't come down Lee Street on Santa Parade Day. And most of the people living here going to Santa Parade knew that anyhow and turned around and went back out the other way. So we don't need $1,400 worth of expenditure to support that event. So that was what that was about. It wasn't about trying to get Pinnacles or someone else to do it.
So what happens now then? Why did the Lions guys not keep doing that?
Because my understanding with health and safety, they can't. So that's been the issue coming out of Thames for running steampunk and the events there. When they get the bill for 1,400 or more than that, in some cases 2,700.
Yeah.
That is the cost for a traffic management outfit to do whatever they do to meet the health and safety requirements. All I'm suggesting is, I don't think you have to be Einstein to work out where the traffic goes and how to stop it and where to put the cones. Because Santa Parade for us is honestly no more than cutting off Lee Street, no more than cutting off Monk Street and Hannon.
And Campbell.
Oh, and Campbell. So like it's an easy job. And once it's happening, people aren't going to try and join the Santa Parade.
No.
So like this is not, so the Lions Club have done this for years, until now they can't. And likewise in Thames, community groups did it, but they can't now.
So through the chair, it's all the legal requirements coming out of central government, so it's not council rules at all. You need to be a trained STMS you have to have a trained STMS on site to do.
I appreciate that's what I'm suggesting though here. So I'll go and do the course.
It's not an easy process to just go and do the course. It's all changed. It changed again this year, that the regulations behind it are quite big.
Yeah, it does change year on year as well a little bit. So in Thames, and we might have talked about this, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but in Thames they tried to do this a few years ago, the community board, the same thing. And they got people in the community trained up to do it, and then it just fell over. They just didn't want to do it because they didn't want to keep staying with their ticket for an STMS, plus all the drama of them having to take responsibility and liability for what they're doing. So it's unfortunate. I totally get what you're saying from a common sense perspective, but the rules and the legislation around this stuff have really made it quite challenging. One thing we can look at doing, which we have, which I think is probably what Kirsten's talking about around Pinnacles, is we have talked about if there's reoccurring events every year, is there something we can do as far as like a template for what they're submitting, so that it's not like start again every year. So we have talked about that with Pinnacles, and I don't have an update on that. Apologies about how they got on with that. I'd say they probably haven't made too much progress, but that's one thing where we think we could possibly cut down on some cost.
But it still needs to be manned.
Yeah,
the manning of it is the cost.
Okay. So
you can't just get volunteers.
It might be
so with that, I think we need some comms. Now, whether we talk to the community groups that do these things, just as like an afternoon or early evening discussion, to say, this is what we're up against, so don't blame council, because that's what happens. They're all
That's
right
just
in
the
the paper
law,
saying
yeah.
the council is the bloody villain here. And it's not us at all. It is us having to be compliant. And so let people know, and then the community knows. Sorry, there's no Sandpro this year because no one can afford the $1,400. So I can't sit here and listen to you all moan about the rates going up when you want me to go and spend more of your money on something that not everyone participates in. So I just think that is the message we have to have out, is that we're only doing what we have to do. And maybe going to go fundraise to go and get the money to do it, if that's what we're doing. But
Wouldn't the fire brigade have like STMS, like the fire police guys? Surely they must be trained.
I don't know, I
wouldn't
would think they would.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
These will be under a different,
Yeah.
different set of rules, you know, 'cause it's
But
around.
then they should hardly be up looking after that when the fire turns up and they're going to turn up.
There's fire police.
So I can talk to that.
Oh,
So
right.
for the car show that's going to be on here, 4th of January, they do it every
Yeah.
year. Lisa Whiteman, who's one of the fire brigade people, is looking at doing their TMP,
Right,
but she's going to have staff. So to man it. So it's not, you can't just use volunteers.
no,
And I do have events forums. I was having them like every couple of weeks and stuff during COVID, and with all our event organisers, and our event organisers are aware that it's not a council cost. You might be getting feedback from people in the community, so maybe we need to put something out there, but all of our event organisers do realise that that's not a council cost, and if they don't, tell them to ring me, because I have to talk about it with them.
Excellent.
Okay,
excellent.
Constantly.
all right. Thank you.
It's just useful to the wider public, because people read this stuff in the paper or social media, whatever, and, you know, we're as keen for these things as anyone, but we just have to abide by the rules. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know rules.
Thank you for that. Let's get that noted. Done.
No.
The no skating in town centre signs have been reinstated, which is great. Something I've heard reported to me by a couple of shop owners, cafe owners, is actually people riding their bikes at full speed through town, which is, and they're adults quite often, not
Yes.
just kids. As though those nice big wide footpaths
And
are
for
actually
them.
a road.
How do you stop it? I mean, unless you've got someone standing there.
That's right.
This morning I watched a guy, he was in his 50s, probably on an electric skateboard, and he came through there at serious paces, faster than cars. And then he thought, what do you,
Well, you
he's
stop
on the foot, and I know, I couldn't have.
You stop at the same, stop at the same way as other jurisdictions stop it, you're waiting on $250 fine. Go to
But
sleep
you've got
in
to have someone
paradise.
there to find them though.
And I think, you stand there and you might see one in every hour.
Well,
Come
to
to
be
find
worth
something.
spending 4 hours and getting 4 people and put $1,000 fines out and stop.
Yeah, I don't know, you give it a go, but.
I think Brian told me
You can't.
it's not that it's not that straightforward, no.
Yeah, it's
like,
a lot less than that. I don't know the details, but I know it's a lot less than that.
and it doesn't even start with fines, it's like confiscating
Right, yeah.
boards and
It's
stuff
hard.
like that, yeah.
It's different, it's.
So is there an opportunity again, comms, to put something out that says, we're still having problems, the signs have gone up, we've put bicycle racks in there because the town centre is meant to be a pedestrian friendly zone, that was how it was designed. So I know that I've had a couple of people who love cycling in my ear, but the point is you cycle to town, you park your bike, you walk around, you do your shopping, just like you park your car, jump on your bike and bike home. You don't roar through town on the footpath at a great rate of knots to go and get your library book.
But even adults should be on the footpath anyway, I
But
think
do
they're
you
by
know-
law.
But can we potentially put something out there just to remind people or to educate people?
May I add
We
something
have
to
done it,
that?
but we will do it again.
Thank you.
I just don't understand why the police don't enforce. the
Yes,
law.
Exactly, it is the law.
The law.
You have to ride bikes on footpaths.
Under the age of 12.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So,
Sort of say, see one from the office here down the main
But I
street.
reckon so the police work on evidence-based
Yeah.
information. So until someone gets knocked over, in worst case killed, or next worst case with some serious injuries, they don't go there. So, the policing resource goes to where the need is, and the need is determined on evidence. So if we think Andrew's going to be standing outside the French Pig for 3 days trying to catch people on bikes, it's not going to happen.
Bring back Pat.
But our bylaws officers can do it, can't they? That's
Oh,
what
I
I'm
don't know.
referring to.
Yeah,
We have a bylaw,
but
doesn't
if
it?
someone's complaining about the dog chasing someone's chicken down the road, it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know what the bylaw says, but we can definitely get out there and influence and
Yeah.
do what we can as bylaws officers. It's just around, again, it's just stretching that resource about where you want them to go, and we get things on dogs and, it's just freedom camping and everything, so. But I'll have a chat to Brian and we'll see if we can just do a few little kind of targeted, efforts in the main street. Hopefully we'll get round and do some more comms.
Is it worth,
Yeah, no, hopefully it'll work.
just spray painting with a stencil on the footpath, cycle with a cross through it? I know.
Nice new
I
footpaths.
know, nice footpaths. But it'll wash off and it'll be gone soon, but just so people as they know.
What about tax? With the points up?
Oh, tax, right, I think we tax.
Do you remember that I went to, it doesn't matter what the conference was, but there was a guy talking about, it was more about like our Hoggan footpath on the waterfront, about those places where pedestrians and cycles need to interact. And they did a positive campaign. So like when someone putting their bicycle into the bike stands, that here's a coffee pouch for the French Pig or whoever. So it was more like they were reinforcing behaviour. And they also had a blackboard out where people wrote comments about, I've nearly been bowled over by a bike or whatever, or people aren't, following it. It was just like this positive sort of, I know it takes people, humans to do that sort of thing, but it's like an education thing that has a positive spin on it.
Yeah, I do quite like that idea, because like we did one with dog walking a couple of years ago, where they gave out leads and stuff, with like random leads, and it's just a cheap lead, but it's nice to have a spare lead at home, so,
Positive reinforcement.
How big do you think the problem is? Is it, and I was obviously cafe owners, that they're always there, they probably see it more than most.
I've noticed it so often, so it's not, like we sometimes go, oh, it's always this person or that person, but it's not. I've actually just about been knocked over, and I'm getting elderly, Jeremy.
Really?
Yeah, really, like you said, electric skateboard.
Yeah.
Skateboarding's actually got better, and I think that could be a response to having that new facility being built and a little bit more positive.
Yeah, I think so, and their teacher, that cool music teacher that is a skater, that sort of said to them all, he said, I'll go and talk to them all, and I think they must
Which is
listen.
fantastic, so I must admit that a lot of the kids are behaving better, but I've seen whole families, mum, dad, 4 kids on bikes, roaring down the road.
Yeah.
50 kilometres an hour, no worries.
Well, you can't hear them either.
Yeah, okay, well, actually, I have to do a board chair thing for the paper, so maybe I'll put a little update in there, just say, our beautiful main street is a pedestrian main street, and don't forget to use the cycle racks, and, okay, I can do that.
Like your bicycle go shopping.
Yes,
I think the other issue is the number of cyclists I've seen that are parental age that have forgotten to put their hats on.
yeah.
It's endemic. It really
That's
is.
definitely not our problem.
I know it's not our
That problem
problem.
might get solved.
Yeah, right.
All right, any other comments on the action schedule? No, all right. 7.2, members' report. Who'd like to start? Bill,
I'd like to finish.
what does that mean? You want to go last?
Oh, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Other end of the table. Delhi.
No, I'm not ready.
Oh. Is anyone ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, back to Bill.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
Okay, not much to report. Right. Where are we? Okay. I went to the Hahe Ratepayers Association. Delhi Delhi was there also. They seem to be disjointed all of a sudden. Did you get that feeling?
This is your report, Bill.
It is my considered opinion
Yes.
that they are not what they used to be. They didn't have a full committee. They were seeking requests from the members that were, or the people that were there to put their hands up, and one or two did. There was probably less than 20 people there. There was serious concern about people on Wigmore about whether or not they should join reticulation, and if so, they didn't want to pay for it, or if they didn't have to, they wouldn't. It just, I came away depressed from that meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you go to Opito as well?
Indeed I did. Yeah, that was fun. Yes. They are a very, very well balanced group. There's no question of that. And they've got heaps on. They're absolutely keen to keep the monarchs. That came top of the list. Green waste, they've got an arrangement with Tricky Trees to do some collections over time. If you put the stuff out, it gets collected. If you don't put it out, it's your problem. So that's a plan that they're working on. This is the one that surprised me: reserves, concessions, etc. They have passed a resolution at that meeting that anyone who wants a concession other than Dive Zone, who are currently okay, have to get the permission from the Ratepayers Association. And that is something that they signed off, and I smiled to myself and kept my mouth shut. So nothing will happen as far as they're concerned unless it's approved by them.
Interesting.
There was also some discussion about ramps and toilets in the sands somewhere, and they didn't know what it was all about, when it was happening, what it comprised, what the plans were, etc.
Okay.
Okay, so that was something that they came on. They are doing a scallop survey, and they believe that there is a 2-year ban on scalloping in the area. And they've got $10,000 from, for this thingy. The Ratepayers Association is paying $10,000 to put the ban on so they can do some work. Trapping, all the trapping going on. WRC have given them $4,000 for traps. Well done.
Yeah.
Including the dollars for wilding pine destructions. And they're all holding hands with Otama and round the corner for a group to concentrate on managing all this wilding pine stuff and getting rid of nasties. And they are very, very keen to establish a dark night scenario on that entire peninsula. And then I went home.
Brilliant.
Right, apart from that, also went on the foreshore management outing. It was bloody cold and wet. Yes, never mind. We went didn't get up to Wangapā, but didn't get to Matarangi, but from points south, we went as far as Flaxmill and whatever. Yes, they're aware of things. I'm not sure that they fully understand what's all going on there. It's all very touchy-feely. Alan's report was streets ahead. Alan didn't hear that. Yeah, that's good. They are very keen to get things done, but not quite sure how to do it. So I'm more than happy to keep going because things have to be done with foreshore management. The issues with the areas of concern, like the boating club, it doesn't help that John Evans has left the building. I mean, that's stupid. How can you have a voice if you close the door? That's silly. Never mind. I think there's one more meeting before the end of the year. And then I think they'll settle down and start coming up with ideas. But at the moment, it's a bit touchy-feely. All right? Apart from that, I haven't been on the golf course and I'm suffering. So there. The end.
Thank you, Bill. Tony?
The golf course is improving.
The golf.
The course.
Oh, because I'm not there.
But I was in Hamilton on Monday for Waikato Regional Council Rochester Committee meeting. There's a lot going on in that space, but I think we're all aware most of the effort is about shifting the majority of people down state highways from Auckland to Hamilton and parts south across to New Plymouth and across to Tauranga, and of course with the activity with rail. And there's quite a large chunk of money, like 100 million, taken out of like the rural areas, which doesn't please a lot of people because this goes down to South Waikato, Takarara as well. Yeah, it's still 10% of that budget gets spent here in our district, and money gets spent where it's needed most. So whilst we hear everything about one-lane bridges, the guts of it is, again, all this is evidence-based. Everything that is done in this arena is evidence-based. So if there's no incidents, nothing happens. So a one-lane bridge is simply not going to cut it. And whilst I have someone that's sort of trying to get people to keep complaining to these people, there's just no point. I mean, say it becomes a motive. And the Pepe Bridge, it is in for 22-23. But it probably won't be a two-lane bridge. They'll simply build another one-lane bridge. And the people would say the one that needs two-laning the most is Corrigan, because that's the one on the corner that in most cars you can't see from one side to the other. The other issue that's come up, and it's been raised with a number of us over the years, is cattle crossings on state highway and local roads. So there is a national policy, from the NZTA policy, there is a Waikato Regional Council policy, and 5 neighbouring councils have policies, we don't. But in the background, Ed is doing that work now. We'll simply plagiarise a couple of other people's policies. That will come to council in due course. I'm not expecting to happen overnight because there's a hell of a lot going on with LTP, but it is in train, and then we have a policy, we have a bylaw, we're going to enact that. So that work is happening. So if you get any phone calls, it is now probably more advanced than it has been for 20 years.
That's really good, Tony, that's moving.
Yeah, well, because it's not only what we have on State Highway, but interestingly, there's farmers on the dark side who actually have been wanting to put these underpasses in, but the council compliance costs of that made it prohibitive.
Yeah.
So there's ways around that. It does attract 20% subsidy. And I've sent one of the people talking to me back to one of his family members to say, I suggest you start to get the ball rolling by applying to us to put an underpass in. Then that'll raise a discussion about, who pays for what. Interesting, as part of those discussions in utilities, water came up and metering. So 22 other councils there, immediate effect was 26% saving. It wasn't actually fixing leaks or anything like that, that was only part of it. And interestingly, some of them are charging $1.46 a cube. But for most households, which only got 2 to 4 people in it, the actual cost of their water bill went down. So for the people that write about, oh God, the meters were the worst thing, the prices will go up, it simply isn't true. It'll go up if you've got 12 people in your house, and it'll go up if you're a B&B, and you've got a heap of people staying in there washing cars and boats randomly. But that's what should happen. If you use it, you should pay for it. And so that was quite interesting. And the only other one I've really got is we note the significant increase in footpaths, dining and socialising. We widened these footpaths to do that. Like boat ramps, it was going to be a year to get established. And at some stage, there'll be a charge to set your operation up outdoors. And to the best of my knowledge, that hasn't happened. But I think it's something we need to do now because only one, but I could talk about others anecdotally. You do 300 breakfasts on a Sunday, that's only one, and there's a whole lot of people doing that. So, but not all using our real estate. So, people can complain about people biking and skateboarding and that stuff, but they've got their business set up out there, then there's another side to that, so. Maybe some of those charges might go towards some compliance, but yeah, that's from me.
Yep, thanks, Tony. Murray?
I mentioned at the workshop, but very good WRC visit. And we've been a little bit of correspondence flying backwards and forwards with the chair, following up on our discussions on erosion, one thing or another, and hopefully that will follow through and come tonight. Waste is sort of, we don't seem to be doing much about that at the moment, but I understand one of the new councillors, I haven't met him yet, and I hope to do it in the new year, has taken on waste as one of the things that he's very concerned about too. So I hope to follow up and see if we get a bit of leverage out of WRC on waste. I understand they're quite keen on incineration in some cases and that sort of thing. So it'd be good if we could start knitting that together and get a bit of political sway out of WRC. Other than that, I haven't really got anything more to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jeremy?
I just really have two things. The Whangapara boat ramp, I think we discussed it before, but I'm not sure what our final action point was. You were gonna, obviously it's not realistic to think we can get something by Christmas. The next year, financial year, it's June, I guess, June.
Yep, 1 July.
Yeah, so I guess it's just getting that message out.
So it'll be part of the LTP, that, LTP discussion to get it into the 1st of July, that's what the board wants.
So does that go onto the action group, the action table, or how does that?
It'll just be part of the process. I mean, we've heard what you've said, staff have heard, so we'll make sure that we kind of move it forward in that way. I mean, we don't know where it'll actually land, but
yep, okay, I understand.
To know that.
And the one that is on our action table is I went and met with Tom Riddle at the Longreach playground. Obviously that road isn't currently open, but I did walk it and just sort of listen to his concerns. I think certainly some of them are valid. There's a playground that is, I have got photos and I will circulate those. There's a playground literally right on the edge of the road, but there is no barrier as such. There is no, even just a simple barrier such as a rope. That would be the first, I guess, for your concern, and then obviously the other one is obviously with the long sweeping roads where that creates a
racetrack?
Potentially, but obviously with this playground, obviously it's gone through the consenting process and
Long Reach too, so.
yeah, Longreach. I know Alan said last community board meeting that it was going to be looked at by staff. Obviously with summer coming around, it'd be good just to have a bit of a look at it. From my eye, it does have certainly some health and safety potential there. I think it is worth giving another good look, even if it was putting a barrier up between the playground and the road, because at the moment there's nothing to stop a kid, not even to slow them down. If that can fall on the developer, but.
Okay, so you got the details of that?
Yeah, it's like
That's a good point, because traffic doesn't,
And kids don't think.
speed up along that road, don't they?
Yeah, they just run from playground to wherever they're going next.
So.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see a date or something for the new year around waste, our next moves, just thinking up what Murray was saying about.
It's on our action schedule to have
It
a
is.
workshop.
Yes, it is.
Is that going to be on our next workshop?
Pass it back. I'm diving back into the depths of my memory to try and recall what we talked about.
We were just,
Agreed.
we
Just
kind
trying
of
to
just
keep it
looked
moving
at like keeping it moving forward,
Yeah.
having another meeting on progress from the staff point of
Yes.
view, from the different conversations and observations other people have had around the country, and who do we engage with next? Like we've talked with the two big supermarket providers, for example,
Yep.
but who do we talk with? What can we do to facilitate this?
To help our community be aware of the
Yeah.
journey that we're going to take
Yeah.
in the lead up to our new transfer station.
Yeah, so there is stuff going out in pre-consultation through comms.
Yeah.
Which will be going out, starting from this Friday onwards for
Oh, good.
November around a number of topics, and solid waste we'll be having discussions as we lead up to the LTP about options. I'm a little bit short on staff at the moment to service any kind of detailed workshop, but we're currently advertising at the moment for a solid waste manager. So we're in the market, we've had some good applications, so we've got to push that forward. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, so if we get someone on board, we might be able to then respond a little bit quicker from the board.
This is Delhi's members report. Do you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to add something following Delhi's members report,
Yes.
is that I'm pretty sure we were led to believe by comms that would be quite a campaign about waste come Christmas. Now, I would like to see, and I know we've had our last board meeting, but I'd like to see something come back and let us know where that campaign and what is happening, because I'm scared it'll fall through the cracks. And we're going to have, another 30,000 people here generating a huge amount of rubbish. And just something to get them to predict our environment would be really good.
Yep.
And stressing by 1 and 2 plastics, and stressing to recycle them, and stressing don't leave your bottles around, and
Try and use your
all those
fill up bottle. I mean, it's too, we
use
haven't got time,
your plastic bottles,
we haven't got time to put in a potable water pump anywhere in the main street. That's not going to happen by Christmas, but at least saying to people, our water's, high grade water coming
And
into
it's
your
precious
tap now.
resource.
So you don't need to go and buy water from the supermarket. You can fill up anything and drink that water in Whitianga. And the formal power ratepayers, it's a question, the people who were concerned about their boat ramp, someone will communicate with them, or should Jeremy and I just communicate directly back with people that we've talked with?
So you mean, Jen, it's quite an order for you to report back to the people who've contacted you?
Yeah.
I am in regular contact with the chairman of the Ratepayers Association, so I keep them informed.
Yeah.
But if the members of the public contacting you, then it's fine for you to go back to them.
The Hahe ratepayers meeting, it was under-attended, and I know that some of the key people, like Penny Clayton, for example, was working that weekend, either ambulance or real estate, I'm not too sure. I think Kathy Belogi's doing a really good job of holding it together and putting together a meeting. I was really impressed with Anna Bartlett, who had a very comprehensive, she'd been tasked with having a comprehensive look at reserves management plan, and had highlighted areas of interest to the Hahe group. I'm still waiting for a hard copy, like an email of their minutes, which I'll circulate for everyone when they come through to me. She did comment that it was when she goes on the website, it's quite hard to navigate or find the plan and policy statements around the reserve management plan. So she's a very bright woman, and I'm just thinking, if it's difficult to find what you need to find for a member of the public, I understand there's a hell of a lot of information there. It's really hard for staff to make things as user-friendly as possible. So I'm just giving that feedback. She said she had quite a job trying to wrangle it. That they were frustrated about the Freedom Campaign and things like that, because of now they're just starting to get the understanding around the dock, TCDC ownership issues with reserves and things like that, and also things that are under iwi settlements. So whereas before we used to get quite a few reactive comments about things, I think there is this understanding that things take time because of outside influences that TCDC doesn't have power over to speed up. Bill Steed reported on water and waste, and he was concerned, and I think he's communicated with you, Bruce, about no costs provided or something. He was concerned if they wanted to see some dollar amounts around the different options. And I said, well, that's still a work in progress. That takes staff investigating.
Yeah, I know my team has spent quite a long time with those guys. So,
yeah,
but I'm not down that level of detail.
So, and he did, which I thought was really good, talk about the fact that you can't get people to agree. So, if you talk to people, a third wants sewage, a third say definitely not, and a third don't care. So I really appreciated the tone of his report was that you know, some people are quite happy with what's happening, some people are further back from the beach, some people don't have ageing septic tank
yeah.
systems or whatever, so they're going, I've just spent all this money on my septic tank system. What else? Concessions, they were, that wasn't dive zone because dive zone's not out there anymore. They were concerned about the lack of parameters for the concessions, that we as a community board would be able to say you can have a food cart and kayaks and something else, rather than the community understanding that there will be a food concession, water-based activity concession or whatever. They want more understanding around that. So that's perhaps something that Heather could, you know, chat to them about. So I think there was a bit of business association influence there, that if, you know, I'm running a cafe or a restaurant, I'd like to know what's going to go on that stretch of beach. So,
Which is understandable.
Yeah, which is understandable. So, yeah, I found it was pretty good. They were asking for people to put their hand up and support the Ratepayers Association. But I think like a lot of these ratepayer meetings, that wasn't their AGM. Holiday weekend, if the weather's good and the absentee batch owners, and it's, you know, there is a conflict for people to attend something like that. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure that it's a reflection that they don't have a strong Ratepayers Association, or whether or not it was, yeah, the same day, post-COVID.
Maybe it's not so many issues that it's contentious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're happy.
Yeah, people do go to meetings when they're riled up, hey? Yeah, true.
All right, thanks, Deli.
Yeah.
Where have I been? I went to the Kotari Memorial Garden opening, which was fantastic and really well attended.
So did we, that's right.
Yeah, Snitty was there.
Snitty was
You were there. Did you get a shout out though? Anyway. We digress. But at that opening, I caught up with a couple of the locals, which was fantastic, and I just wanted to share here that there is a real interest in some members of the Hāhei community to potentially have our old skate ramp. I don't know what is earmarked for that or what the plan is, but there is a community group there that is interested, and I just wanted to make sure that as a board we were all aware of that. They obviously need to have some conversations and find some space, but they feel pretty confident that they'll be able to do that. What else have I been up to? Last Friday, I opened the social services expo, which was really good. Actually, they had a huge number of services there from, you know, all the way from Cambridge, Hamilton, all the way up. So I think it was really well attended. When I left, there were lots of people there, but even just having those community services being able to network together, I think was really good. And what else? I think that's it. The other thing I was going to mention was Tapu Tapu Atea Bridge. It's been so well used, it's fantastic. Yeah, go for it.
Mine was on a mission at Blackjack Road, just more for Bruce. I've had 3 different people, but one particularly just talked about the state of that road. Clearly there's a lot more traffic up and down there for Syrian subdivision. And I keep raising, I know people that don't want anything done because they want to keep that as a deterrent.
Yeah.
But there are other people that don't like that, so I don't know when it's going, and I just keep saying it's not going to happen. There's not enough people going over it, and there's no money. So I put RFS in for these people for myself. So
For grading or for sealing?
No, just for, I think for grading, it's not going to get over the line for 7.
No, I was just checking, making sure it's on the same.
No,
Same page as you.
they want it sealed,
Yeah.
but I'm saying there ain't no money to seal it.
And I think towards the Opedo end, it's particularly bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Some of you
nice.
guys have travelled over there in the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks, so I haven't.
I'll get them to have a look. Normally they grade as we lead up to Christmas, to try and get as close to the peak period as possible to try and get it to last through, so.
I sent the name of my man and his contact details, his email and phone numbers on the RFS, so I guess that's what the rating people, but if you need that, I can send it for you.
Just, another one, if it's okay, further to what Tony's just said, I stopped in at Luke's for, some fresh Coromandel oysters, which was very nice, and a glass of rosé, and,
Okay.
I thought you needed that detail, and, it's just, as people are coming around that corner, I know we've talked about the community wants some sort of, jig of slowing
Traffic
everything
calming.
down. I'm just wondering, is there such a thing as a temporary speed hump? Because it's worse as they're coming down the hill from that very, very sharp corner and they sort of go past Riley's house and accelerate, and there's people queuing on the footpath, and I mean, okay, that's Luke's problem to a degree, but they're also coming around the corner at speed past that restaurant. It just gives me the willies.
And the big trucks, some of them
Yeah.
are carrying massive
Logging,
equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We generally try and, through the chair, we generally try and avoid speed bumps now, because they are a real nuisance from they make a lot of noise as vehicles are going over.
True.
Trucks, especially boat trailers, are really noisy. So we try and avoid those, but I hear what you're saying around traffic calming, and I know we did have a look at that quite a few years ago now. There was a whole lot of stuff was done. But I can double check with the guys. I don't know if Alan knows anything else. Yeah.
That whole village needs to look at, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are in detailed discussions with Ratepayers Association
Oh, good.
on that whole thing, and they've put a proposal to us, which someone just the thing to do is to talk to Ed about. So we have talked to Roding already about something temporary for this summer, and the answer is no. There's just nothing that could be done that would actually work and make any substantial difference, but more than likely process cause more nuisance than benefit. But we are looking at an overall scheme. There's nothing in the LTP for it, but we can expect a submission from the Ratepayers Association as part of the LTP around a long-term solution to traffic calming through that.
Because I
this
remember
shopping
it
area.
was at least, it wasn't last summer, because I didn't get to the Korotunu one last summer, it was the summer before they were talking about the village plan and having it as a pedestrian friendly zone, but it's just highlighted to me. That was a Sunday and it wasn't Labour weekend, and I just thought, wow, it's horrendous.
Can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the members' reports? Thank you. All right, which takes us to our public excluded items.
So just turn, just to go into public.
Okay, so can I get a mover and a seconder to move
I'll move
in?
into public excluded.
So that's Bill and Delhi. Thank you. Thanks, Len.
You're welcome.
Right.
So all of us public will leave.
Yes, I was like, I was sitting in my name. Thank you.
So, yeah.
See you.
This just takes a second.
Speaking of speed humps, there's some interesting ones coming from the turn off